We are live, Callum.
So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Callum Morrison, and I am pleased to welcome you to our weekly discussion, that focuses on a particular text, storytelling in marketing and brand communications. I'm joined by the author today, Dr. Moin, and we're going to have a discussion with regard to narrative theories in the book. And the way it's going to play out is I'm going to ask Moin a series of questions, and Moin is going to bring his expertise that he's elaborated in his book and which he practices in his role at Queen Mary University of London. And we're going to discuss narrative theories, deciphering the essential story elements. Welcome, Moin, to our discussion. Thank you very much indeed for your time. I'm pleased to host this event, and I'm also very pleased to congratulate you on the opening couple of sentences of this chapter. This particular book, if we were going to summarize it in terms of another author, and nobody would suggest that there's anything comparable, but another author who was great at storytelling, of course, was Shakespeare. And he gave us the quotation, "All the world is the stage." And you, I believe, in this particular chapter, have really hit the mark in terms of your first couple of sentences, because your first couple of sentences say, "The world is a story, and we are all storytellers. When we tell stories, we create a unique identity of ourselves. Stories tell us, differentiate ourselves from others. Stories let us differentiate ourselves from others. We are no longer defined as a particular category. We become characters and present our unique identity to the world. This is one of the reasons brands tell stories." So I particularly like that first sentence or so. I think we've got a smile on the line, but I've got a series of questions for you, Moin, that probably is the best way to approach this particular subject of narrative theories with regard to brands. So the starting point, the obvious starting point, if we're talking about brand stories, is what is a story?
Oh, thank you, Callum, first of all, for having me in this session. And I'm really honored and delighted to be able to discuss things with you. And it's a joy that seeing you are reading my books, and even you are reading a couple of lines, and you are a great speaker. So I know that the way you are putting it. So your question is fascinating, because we need to understand what is a story. A story, I would say that a story is the reflection of life. So a story is life unveiled in a small moment in time. What does it mean? That means we have so many things in life. So it's the life minus boring things. So we got to be artistic, and we have to be choosy. So we will choose only those plots, only those events that matters and that convey meaning. So a story is organized meaning. It is not random events. It has a beginning, it has a middle, and it has an end. It must include change, movement, and conflict, and how and why life changes. And that has been told by Robert McKee, who is the author of a story and a number of books, and he is a big name in the world stage. A story speaks both logic and emotion. I mean, if you want to go back to Aristotle's understanding, so he said that ethos, logos, and pathos. Sort of, there will be a character who is relatable, there will be logic, and there will be also emotion. So you can see that our life is a story, because when I say it's a beginning, middle, and end, so we are born, that's the beginning of our life. We live, we face challenges, and we overcome conflicts, and we are transformed. That's kind of the middle. And then we die. What lives or what remains is nothing but a story. So that is the way I would just answer this question to start with.
Okay. So there are many parts, and now we know what a story is. Then you mentioned mentioned Aristotle. So Aristotle said the whole is greater than the parts.
Yeah, yeah.
So therefore, the next question is an obvious one. The next question is, what are the major parts of a story?
Oh, fantastic. I love it the way you put it, that whole is greater than the parts. Yeah, parts matter, but whole is greater than the parts. So I think the most or important or the major elements of a story are setting. And setting, we can discuss what is setting, which is sort of time and space where the story takes place or when the story takes place. So you can see that it's a place as well. And then characters. And characters are the people within the stories. And they need to have a desire. They need to face challenges, conflict, as I discussed. And then also plot. It's like cause and effect events that creates movement. So within a story, there has to be a movement. And then conflict. And conflict also bring this plot to life. So these are the challenges and the tension driving the story. Because if we don't have conflict, we will not be interested actually to overcome that. Then obviously there is also resolution. That is the how the tension ends or transforms. So that way, the resolution also convey a meaning. So a story is not just for entertainment, but a story is also invaluable life lesson. And that's why resolution is very important, and how artistically you can do the resolution part, that is also very important. So these are the major elements of a story, I would say.
Right. So briefly, you mentioned something called setting, which of course is a word that we all use to describe many things in our lives. But in storytelling, it has a specific meaning. So, and as you intimated there are several definitions or several parallel definitions or several components of that definition. So therefore, it requires a degree of explanation. So, Moin, over to you.
Okay, so you were asking me to talk about setting or put some more light on setting, right? As I understand. Okay, so
Yes.
I mean, you started with Shakespeare, and you said that, and I really like that particular, the sentence that all the world's a stage, and all the men and women are players. So this kind of statement, so famous statement, talks about two things: the stage, that is the setting, and the players, who are the characters. So setting is the world of the story or the story world. It includes time, space, environment, culture, social conditions. It can be real, fictional, historical, futuristic, or even symbolic. So if you think about sci-fi, science fiction, then you can have a futuristic setting, that the story is happening in a future point in time. Setting creates the story's atmosphere. That is, it shapes the mood, the romance, the tense, the tragic, the hopeful. Oh, I mean, you can add flavor by choosing the right setting. A story set is a war zone, feels every different forms, one set in a quiet village or in a modern city. You can think in that way. Setting also influences character behavior. Because if you think about, say, a setting where a story is taking place in Nepal, maybe in the hilly area, the way the character will behave or their lifestyle will be very different from the people or from the setting in London, because it's not a hilly area, it's a different part of the world. Likewise, if you have a setting in say, Middle East, in a desert, and then you will see that how it is influencing the day-to-day life challenges and the way people interact, the way people behave. So in other words, setting also mm, shapes the plot, not just shapes the behavior of the character, but also shapes the plot, the kind of challenges that we face. So setting has a tremendous value in making the story successful.
Okay. So I've stumbled on a rich theme here because I've used a word that we use, all of us use in the course of conversation setting, and you've brought some definition to that in terms of storytelling. And another word that you used in the course of your explanation there was characterization. So that's another word that we use in general discourse, but of course will have a specific meaning in terms of storytelling. But why is characterization so important in storytelling?
Okay, so that's really very good question, Kalam, and you were going in a way that I can see the level of difficulty is coming as I answer. So you can see that characters in the story are the ones who will hold your hand and will bring into the story world that is a setting. So that's why if the character is not relatable, as the Aristotle said that the ethos, then audience will not feel compelled, or audience will not be able to connect with the story. That's why characterization is very important. Many people, they think that they will use likable character. No, the best answer that Robert Mackey said, that is not likable, it's like us, because characters are the people who are amongst us, so that I forget that I am listening a story or watching a movie and a story is somebody else's. I feel that it is my story. So characters
Mm,
creates emotional connection. A story equals to a character who wants something and faces resistance. And that is very important, faces resistance. Events are only meaningful when filtered through a character's desire or a struggle. Because all these events are taking place, but when we see the characters through the character's eyes, what characters want or character want, if you think about main character, and what are the conflict and challenges that preventing the character to have what he or she want to have. So those things that bring the drama into the story, and our brains mirror characters emotion. So characterization is very important because it brings the emotional glue into the story.
okay. Now I remember reading in the book quotation by I think Reisenweber, who said characters carry the reader from the first to the last page, making the reader making the readers care. I mean, that had a profound impact on me. That particular quotation. Um, so characters, I suppose, therefore, we understand that if you don't develop the characters well enough, or you don't spend enough time on the characters, then the story is a little empty. But the plot is a little bit empty, maybe, if the characters are not big enough. So
Okay, so let's come to the plot now, because sometimes people debate that what is more important, is it character or the
what
plot?
is a plot,
Okay,
and
so okay,
are the major plot sequences that
okay, Kalam, I got your question. Let me answer. You were a bit cutting, but I got your question. So many people argue that which is more important? Is it plot or is it character? Both are important. And what you were summarizing before by reading a line from my book, that was showing that character and plot enmesh very well. So plot advances the story. Plot is the events that takes place within the stories. So when you are designing plot, you need to think about that there are thousands and even millions of options that you can choose, and you can bring some incident, but which one you choose, that will resonate with the life challenges of the readers or the audience, so that they can also relate. So as I told you, that character hold the hand and bring the audience into the story world, but it is the plot that keeps them there. How the plot keeps them there, that is what is the narrative drive. And narrative drive, the purpose of narrative drive is to create curiosity. That is our brain wants to ask question that what is next, but also empathy. That is our heart want to bond with the character. They want to feel that this is the story about myself. So the artistic way of creating curiosity and creating empathy, that is the way you create narrative drive. And narrative drive is one of the major element of plot in designing plot. But there are some plot sequences, as you asked me to answer. Those are exposition. In the exposition, you introduce the main character and you introduce the setting, and then people have an idea about what the story is about. But then you raise the tension, so that is the rising action. So something happens that disturbs the equilibrium of the life of main characters, and then the climax come. What is the climax? Climax is the moment where the main character faces the tension, the biggest tension. And when using the insight, that is through several rising actions that the main character faced before, using that insight, the main character wins the main obstacle or main challenges. And that leads to the falling action of the story. And then we come to the resolution. So through falling action and resolution, what the author or the storytellers do, they communicate the meaning. So it's not no more entertainment only, but also it's profound insights given to the audience who can use this insight. This is what is the kind of plot. Okay, dear audience, I think there are some problems Kalam is facing at the moment. So Kalam managed to send me some questions. So I will read out those questions and I will take it forward. But in the meantime, let me see if Kalam is there or not. Give me a second. Oh, Kalam, yeah, that's fine. I got you. I answered the question, so I think our audience could hear it. So I explained what is a plot and why plot is important. So you might want to ask the next question if you want. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next question then is to pick up some terminology. So one of the words that you used in your explanation, which again is a word that we use in common speech a lot, is the word narrative. And in the course of the chapter, you use the expression narrative drive. Perhaps you would like to define the terminology, because to know something is to know the terminology. And
Oh,
whilst you explain it in the book, people may come across this term from time to time. So it'd be helpful if you could expand on its meaning. So narrative drive.
Okay, Kalam, thank you so much. Okay, I actually little bit touched upon, but let's dive a bit more. So, narrative drive, as you understand, is something that is driving the narrative, or is the driving the story. So, you know that human beings have head and the heart. So, what is the purpose of our head? We want to think. We want to know what's happening around us. And what is the purpose of the heart? The purpose of the heart is that we want to create bonding. We want to understand others. So we want to create love and association. So the narrative drive, what it does, it creates curiosity, tension, and emotional investment. So I would say sometimes that the empathy, the emotional investment. So if you can use artistically the curiosity, that is what happened next, and emotional investment or empathy about the main character. So then the audience will forget that there is a main character. They will think that they are the main character within this story. And they will not be able to live the story world because something is happening to the main character. And they want to see whether the main character achieves the desire, whether the main character could achieve the goal, whether the main character can get what he or she wants to get. So this is what is the narrative drive, that you use it in a way, the use of curiosity and empathy to drive the story forward.
Okay. No, I don't think people can see me, but they can
No,
certainly hear me.
no, I can see. I know they can see you. I can see you, so they can see you, I think.
Excellent. So, okay, so we've got the narrative drive, and so we understand that it perhaps gives some momentum to the story or ensure it moves it forward. It's a story, so it has to keep moving. Otherwise, I suppose people lose interest. Um, and so then another piece of terminology that relates to this is transformation. Transformation. Why is transformation? What is transformation, first of all, and why is it important to the success of a story?
Okay, Kalam, that's a fantastic question. But let me just assure you with one thing, that I can hear you very well as I can see you very well. So don't worry, don't move your setting there. I can see you and I can hear you as well. So transformation relates to the transformation of the main character, because it is the main character. They are the center of the story, and the good storyteller will create the main character in a way that we will think that we are the main character and we want to be transformed. So as I told, that storytelling is not just about entertainment, but it is also giving profound insight, and that can transform our life. So we need to see transformation of the main character so that the audience can use the lesson or the insight or the wisdom that is driving from the story, and they can be successful in their life. So if I want to say define it, it can be defined in this way. This is the inner change that the protagonist undergoes in beliefs, values, identity, or worldview. A shift from who they are to who they become by the end of the narrative. And how this is triggered? This is triggered by the conflict, obstacle, catalytic event forces the character evolve through. It is the character's emotional journey that parallels to the plot's physical journey. This is very important. You see that you will see in the story the external things happening, external things. So the plot changes and story advances. So these external challenges that we can see, but what we can feel is the changes that is parallel, the emotional transformation of the character, the belief system. So it is the movement from the limitation to possibility. So character might have a limited mentality, so a fixed mindset. so believed that he or she could not achieve something, but now they have been transformed. They can see the possibility, they can take big risks, and they can achieve anything. So it's a shift in their mindset. So it is a movement from ignorance to insight, from fear to courage, and often captured as the character's arc: positive, negative, or complex. I can go on and on, but I think I have answered your question. But if you want further, I can add more to that, because it's a very big subject.
So, I mean, I recall earlier on in the discussion that you said that it's the reason why characters are attractive is because they're people like us.
Yeah.
And so the development of the character, therefore, would you say that the transformation is important to make the story successful, because we're we're living part of ourselves in the story? Would you say that's
Yeah,
part of
yeah,
it?
because we want to be transformed as well. So so that means when I say the characters are the good characters are uh, 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 people like us, that means they are having the same challenges we are having. They are facing the same conflicts in their life, that they are facing the same philosophical drama that we are facing in our life. But how they manage those and how they go through and transform, that teaches us something, some life philosophy, some insights that we can use in our life. So we are not just entertained, but we are also transformed, because we have seen how the character has transformed.
Okay, so now it's I've got it. Thank you. So if I just pick out a couple of points from that, we have a person involved, we have um, a plot, and we have obviously a product, because the storytelling is in the context of marketing and brand communications. So we have a great brand story. It's got positioning, aspirations, brand values. You mentioned values before, and you also mentioned earlier on in the conversation a narrative theme, which is obviously stimulated by a hook. So is this where we're talking about the transformation? Can it be? Does the hook come earlier or does the hook come later?
I mean, normally hook comes early, because you need to get the attention first before
Okay.
the engagement comes. But if what you are trying to do now is you are trying to ask a profound question, that how narrative theories uh, can be manifested in brand stories. So if you see, so that is more important, especially for the students of marketing. But I would always strongly recommend that you understand the narrative theory first, because then application is easy. So when we say character, so when you think about brand story, whether it is a tactical brand story or a strategic or many other brand stories are there, we discussed before. So you replace the character by the customer, your target customer.
Hmm.
So not everybody is your target customer. You will not target everybody.
Hmm.
So you replace the conflict with the target customer challenges. Target customer challenges. So you can see that Dove does it very well. They bring characters from all walks of life. So they are not selling soap or beauty product. They are redefining the perception of beauty. So they
Hmm.
are giving confidence to their customers. That's very important, that if you want to be successful in life, you need to feel that you are beautiful. Is the confidence. And they tell a story that in such a fascinating way that I'm not discussing now, but there are many examples. Then the plots, so, or the setting you talk about. So how you replace that, you show that you understand where your customer lives, the not only geographically, but what is the social class of your customer. So you think about the Burberry, the British brand, the kind of customer they think their social class is different. If you think about, say, Primark, they're targeting another group of customers. So the challenges of these two customer group are completely different. The aspirations is different. The meaning of success is different. So this is the way. So that is why the narrative theory is very important. But now then you can replace this thing. Then you show the transformation. Transformation is that how now not the character transform, but how you show a path or a solution, that how this brand can be your guide or can be your association and help your customer to be successful, to achieve what they want, to be transformed. So they are not only buying a product, but they are joining a brand community. They are finding their identity with the brand identity. So this is the way you can bring these narrative theories into the world of brand storytelling.
Okay. Well, thanks for that departure, which I think is useful in putting this particular important part of storytelling, the narrative theories, in the context of um, of marketing and brand communications. But I suppose we just need to go back one step in terms of our discussion. So, in your explanation there, you explained that the characters are substituted by the target customer. So, if we go back into the story now, back into the story, we have characters. How, in the context of a story, if you're telling a story, how do you reveal the character of the characters?
That's a brilliant question, Kalam. It's $1 million question. Because you see, if I say that, Kalam, who are you? What is you? What is your identity? You will not say that, okay, I'm Kalam, this is my body shape, this is my, say, dimension. No, you are Kalam because you have certain value set. It's more abstract.
Yeah,
You believe in something. Say a Christian. So a Christian has an identity. A Muslim has an identity. Yes, they might be different, but they have certain value system and they try to define them in that way. So the character here, we are not talking about religion or anything, but we are talking about the universal value system, value element of the character. So that is what is the character of the characters. So that is very important. And you need to show this thing through transformation sometime. Because if say somebody they are fearful, it is a characteristics or a character, but then they transform into a courageous person who can take risk and become an entrepreneur. So that's also the character changes. But sometimes this person character might be latent, and we really do not know what is the main character, what they will do when there is crisis. So the art of revealing the character of the character is to create pressure, as much pressure as possible. So it is the action under pressure that reveals the character of the characters. Now I will have to give you an example that has been given in the book A Story by Robert Mackey. I am a fan of Robert Mackey and John Truby. These are the two people that I really admire in the field of storytelling. So Mackey was saying that think about two characters. One is a white man, tall, very handsome. He is driving a Mercedes or even a better brand, and he is a neuroscientist. So probably his hands are very important. Sometimes he will do the operations in the brain and other things. And another woman, he's a black woman, and she is an illegal immigrant, and she's driving a very old kind of car. And she is living in a country, illegal immigrant, but she's earning money and she's sending money back home so that the greater family member survives. And on the way, there is a school bus going, and the bus got fire. And both of them see this thing. Will they stop? So now this white man thinking that, okay, if I stop and if I go to help, if I am injured, my hands are $1 million. What happened? My time is valuable. And this lady might think that, okay, yes, I feel it, but if I'm caught, I'm an illegal immigrant, I might be deported to my country. But they stop. So you created same kind of pressure, both of them stopped. And now they are going to save the children, and they can see that there is fire. Really, risk is there. But you created pressure. But both of them actually showed the character, and they were saving the children. But now the situation is such that the bus is going to explode in a moment, and they have to just leave the bus in 10 seconds. And maximum they can take one child, more child, out of the bus. And now see how the pressure is created. There are children. There are two children side by side. One is a white boy, another is a black girl. But you can only take one. Who do you save? So this is the moral dilemma, say he has created, that you actions under pressure, that will reveal the character of the characters. Another, so you can say that the choice they make, that is what they prioritize, sacrifice, they take, or they defend their inner values, how they defend their inner values. You can also show the character of the character by the dialogue and the voice, that is how they speak, the words they choose, and the tone they use. There are other ways you can do that, that is interaction with other characters, that is respect, aggression, empathy, manipulation, loyalty. So you can see that how the hero is actually interacting with the side characters. Then the motivation and desires. So what they want most, but what is important is that why they want that. So you can see that when Steve Jobs was establishing Apple, so he said that he was kind of the monarch in the Silicon Valley. What he was commanding, that was happening. Like as a 26 years old, he said that, would you like to sell the sugary water rest of your life, or you want to join me and change the world? That too to the CEO of Pepsi Cola. So you understand that his influence at that time. But he said that being the richest man in the Silicon Valley, it doesn't matter to me. What matters to me that I come to bed with a profound fulfillment, that I'm in a mission, that I'm changing the world. I'm doing something that will give power to individual and the power of computer. So it's the what you want or what you desire, but why you desire. So when you understand this why, you will understand the character of the character. So you can also give some small details and habits, that is routine, symbolic object, say physical gesture, things like I read a book by Robert Mackey, and he was saying that a character came for an interview, and this is taking place in another city. So before the interview, she called her mother and said, "Mother, I'm going for the interview. Please pray for me." So please pray for me. It's showing that they have kind of a sincerity to the God. So this small dialogue, this small ritual can also show the character of the character. But I think I've covered some of the aspects, but obviously you understand that it's more of art than of science, and you can use it in a dramatic way if you want.
Yeah,
Dramatic ways.
I actually think that that departure was very, very helpful, because you sort of knitted it all together really in that last piece there. In the context of an example, you also brought in, as you quite rightly suggested, the art. There is an art to this. It is not just simply a case of selling a product. It's not simply a case also of just articulating particular aspects, because you can only by bringing them all together, probably in the correct blend with the art, that you can possibly have the whole that Aristotle talked of, because the whole is greater than the parts, as we heard. So thank you very much indeed. I think that we've got to the end of the nine questions, and I think also that you've also summarised at the end. So I think that we've covered this particular topic reasonably well. So thank you very much indeed, Moin. And narrative theories. Next week we move on to chapter 5. of the book.
Okay, Kalam, that's fantastic. It was really, I was really delighted to have this conversation with you. Let me just do the conclusion for our audience, just to summarize what we have discussed
Yep.
today. So, as we come to the end of today's Adda, dear audience, and we call it intellectual Adda, let me leave you with a simple reflection, drawing from all the discussions that we had. So, a story is far more than an arrangement of events. It is a living journey. Its setting gives it context, emotional color. Its character carry the weight of human truth. Its plot shapes the rhythm of movement, and its narrative drive keeps the reader turning the page with anticipation. What happens next? But at the heart of every powerful story lies transformation, the moment when characters evolve, confront themselves, and see the world differently. Their belief system changes, they become different person. They overcome their fear and challenges. Without transformation, a story remains flat. With it, the story becomes meaningful, memorable, and alive. And how do we reveal character, as we just discussed? Not through description alone, but through choices, contradiction, desires, fear, and the way they respond to adversity. Characters reveal themselves in action, in silence, in conflict, and in moment of vulnerability. So, if there is one takeaway from our discussion, it is this: stories succeed when they illuminate human journey, when they capture change, reveal truth, and speak something timeless within us. Thank you very much for staying with us. And thanks to those who will be watching this session afterwards. From Callum Morrison and myself here in London, best wishes. Thank you very much.
Ciao.